Please be seated. It's wonderful to finally be here this morning. It's been almost 4 years since I left Good Shepherd in Ruxton as rector and became canon to the ordinary on the diocesan staff. And even though this is the church that is closest to my home, it just seems like it's taken forever to finally get here for my first official visit with you all. Though this is not my first time with you all by any means. I've been here on a Sunday during a snow occasion when I was with about 6 of us upstairs. Well, Tony and Linda took turns with the service in various capacities. I also was here 13 years ago when I was a finalist for rector, along with this guy from South Carolina, as I later heard, only to discover when I was at a reunion at my seminary that the guy from South Carolina that got this job was one of my classmates who had lunch with me that day. So we had a good time with that. So I have many connections with this parish, and I'm thrilled to be here with you all this morning. Thrilled to be serving with Linda and later with Tony, my next door neighbors, and with the young man also from the South, youngish man now. You're not quite as young as you used to be. Stewardship priest in charge. So it's great to be here with you. I bring greetings, of course, from our bishop, Bishop Sutton, and from the rest of the diocesan staff to thank you for being part of the Diocese of Maryland and for being a light and presence of Christ in this community. And it's very exciting to see the work that you're doing and to be in this wonderful, warm, sacred space with you all this morning. Now, this morning we have a rare occasion in Scripture to hear God's voice speak. The scene is a riverbank with a gentle but full flow of water passing by. Dusty common folk are gathered, waiting their turn to have their sins washed away along with the dust and the creases of their skin. And Jesus is in line, or so we suppose, and so John notices and probably invites him to move on up in the line because he's kind of a celebrity in their midst. And so they fuss over each other a bit like Chip and Dale, trying to decide who should really be in charge. But Jesus finally gets in the water, and his head goes back, and it comes back up, drenched and dripping. And then the voice from heaven, out of nowhere, out of the blue, God speaks. God is watching. And it is reported to us that God says this: "This is my Son, the Beloved, with whom I am well pleased." What a great parental statement. A proud parent looking on at an important event, a commencement of sorts, a beginning of something important. And so what child wouldn't love to hear a parent say these words, especially publicly, in front of a crowd of others? This is my Son, my Beloved. I am not just pleased with him, I am well pleased. These are the words of a proud parent, a joyful parent, a loving parent. Now, the other rare occasions in which we hear God speak begin first with the words to Adam in the garden, and then Moses, and then a handful of prophets. But that's about it. Not many occasions. And most of these encounters are not quite as affectionate. Do this, tell this, don't do this, or do this and this will be the consequence, or don't do this or else this will happen. Rarely do we hear God just simply offering praise. Simple, joyful praise. The praise of a proud parent. And so this is one of these examples. Now, Matthew's particular gospel highlights this even more. Both Mark and Luke report that God speaks to Jesus at his baptism. He says, "You are my Son, my Beloved." But it is only Matthew who reports God speaking directly to the people about Jesus. Likewise, at the Transfiguration, all 3 synoptic gospels report God speaking to the 3 disciples who are present and saying, "This is my Son. Listen to him." But again, it is only Matthew that again repeats the same phrase, "My Beloved, with whom I am well pleased." Matthew lets us know for sure that God is a proud, proud parent. And so this image of God as a proud parent makes me think of one particular modern day image, a minivan. A minivan full of bumper stickers on the back that say such things as, "My child is an honor student." Think of God as soccer mom. And why not? A minivan evokes family. Most minivans are messy with layers of pretzels and goldfish crackers, strata ground into the carpet and in the many nooks and crannies with decaying juice pouches. The fenders are dinged and dented from bicycles and baseballs. The bumpers display life and joy and involvement and care and chaos. That is God. And if the negative stereotype of a soccer mom is that she is over-involved, too proud, too caring, too committed, isn't that the kind of God we want in our lives? Over-involved, too proud, too caring, and too committed. Well, let's face it, we would prefer a God who overindulges us over one who gives us exactly what we deserve. I'll take the soccer mom. So, what kind of soccer mom exactly was God being at Jesus' baptism? He wasn't in a cute white christening gown. There were no videos or barrage of photographs with family, just dusty peasants on the side of a riverbank, waiting for a sliver of hope and a chance for a new start. And God was fully present, and God was fully proud. This is my son, my beloved. With him I am well pleased. And at this point, Jesus hadn't even done anything yet. This was the beginning of his public ministry. And God was already pleased. Pleased in advance. Pleased in anticipation. And so I get that. I sent my first child off to college this fall. And this was one of the hardest things I have ever had to do in my life. I thought I was going to die when we drove off. And we only dropped him off in Catonsville, on the other side of town. But it felt like being on another continent. But I was so proud that he had made it to this stage of independence in his life. I was well pleased because he is beloved. I get it. I get what God was feeling that day on the riverbank. But likewise, as a parent, I also get that God was perhaps feeling a little vulnerable that day, excited for the things that would come for Jesus as he began his ministry, but also fearful. Fearful for the things that would come for Jesus as he lived into his ministry. For God knew what was coming. God knew that there would be tough days ahead. But this day was a day of celebration, a day of anticipation, a day of looking forward to the hope that lay ahead. In my ordained ministry, I have baptized a little over 100 people, mostly babies or young children. And they are all sacramental moments of hope, of new life, of God showing up in a special way and saying, "This is my child, my beloved, with whom I am well pleased." God sees the potential and the hope in the smallest of children, long before they have accomplished anything significant in their lives. It is a beginning of great expectations. But unlike Jesus, the rest of us fail time and time again to fulfill these expectations. But we are beloved nonetheless. Even when we give up on ourselves, God does not give up on us. So people of Nativity, God has not given up on you, any of you. God has not given up on this community, and I hope you know that. There are many signs of hope here, and that is good news. And some of this hope is evident in the grinning smile of this enthusiastic gentleman sitting up here on the funny chair. And I believe that God is well pleased with what is going on in Nativity Cedarcroft. Now, that doesn't mean you're getting everything right. It doesn't mean that God doesn't have plans for you that might challenge and stretch you. It doesn't mean that things might not be chaotic and messy at times. Think minivan. But wouldn't you rather be a messy minivan church than a more polished vehicle of God's grace? I hope so. Because God's work is messy at times, and that is good news. And now to remind us that our work is not done, we will renew our commitment to the call of our baptismal ministry by renewing our own baptismal vows. So please stand.